we're waiting for you to open, whatever, and just pouring in. And then the ball dropped, at midnight, and I remember calling my mom and my little brother, and I was bawling my eyes out. I was just so grateful. I'm like, I've only been here for 2-3 months at the point, and I'm like, so much has happened, and I just opened my first restaurant, my first team, it was my first opening team, and I was so grateful, and yeah, it was hard, and I knew it was only going to get harder, now that we're open, like, okay, now you got to step up to the occasion, rise to the occasion, and it was more nights sleeping at work afterwards and whatever, and fun nights at the bars and learning the West Village and all that stuff. And, I went to the Loyal every now and then to say hi to them and, thank them or whatever. And I ended up working there for about 9 months or so.
Yeah.
And the concept had radically shifted since the one that was pitched to me to that. Mm-hmm. Like initially on the opening menu, we had like a foie gras stuffed chicken with like these sunchokes and these leeks, and it was like very fine dining, whatever.
Yeah.
But the concept didn't fit the location. It was a bar that sells like $17 gin and tonics, for example. Like Tito's sodas, whatever. Like it's that type of place. It's a bunch of bros go there and watch the game and drink a $18 Bud Light and and that's their thing, and that's what they do, and they make a shit ton of money doing that, and that's a great business model. Like they're great.
That's fun.
That bar is still there. Survived a pandemic. Makes like $3 million a year, something crazy like that. Like they're doing it right? But that's not what I wanted. I wanted to cook. I didn't want to make burgers. There's nothing wrong with making burgers. I fucking love burgers, but that's not what I had signed up to learn.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I wanted to learn other stuff. And again, me always wanting to do more, constantly more before my time or whatever, and. So I got to the point where I was getting paid to kind of just stand around. It was a skeleton crew, and we were dead. I'd send people home, and I was just there. And anyone else that I was talking to was like, "Oh, you're crazy! You're making a salary to do nothing essentially all day." I'm like, "That's not who I am. I'm a hard worker, and I really take pride in what I do."
You're there
and
for the money.
I'm there for money.
The money just to live.
Exactly. And I'm just like, this is not me. And so I had. Reached out to John and his company again.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, you guys looking for anybody, like in any of your restaurants? And at the time, he had the Loyal and Nick's and Narcissa and all these, like Dovetail, and I'm like, anything. Just, I want to go cook again, And they got back to me, and they're like, oh, thank you for reaching out and staying in touch. We're actually opening a hotel in Midtown. This crazy project. It's like 500 rooms, 40 stories, $2.5 billion hotel, like 8 concepts. We need like 10 sous chefs. Like, you want to come in?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, sign me up. That sounds absolutely batshit insane. Let's do it. And I put in my notice at Due West, and they had said, like, listen, you're always welcome here. You literally killed yourself for this place. Like, your family forever. No matter what you need, we're always behind your back. I ended up doing the hotel, which was just an absolutely gnarly opening. Obviously, from what I described, just that. Logistics behind that are insane. I did a tasting to get the job, and I remember doing my tasting, and I did 3 courses, right? And looking back, they were so bad. And like, here's a 2 Michelin star chef eating my shitty little 3-course tasting, whatever. Yeah. And I went to Union Square Farmers Market, which since that point has been a pinnacle in my career. That's where we source from for Hera.
Yeah.
And
you were there today, no?
I was there today, earlier in the rain or shine. I'm there, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, seeing my friends, the farmers, and. I did this tasting, and the entire time they had poker faces on. Like, literally, I'm like, you guys know me. Like, we're like friends, kind of. What about the conversation we had my last night? Nothing. They were giving me no.
The Terminator over here.
Literally, it felt like that, man. It was so bad, and I'm low key like freaking out on the inside or whatever. Like every dish, they don't even eat it in front of me. They're just like, thank you, chef. Next, fire the next course. Fire the next course. So I do all 3 courses, and the culinary developer, she comes down after the tasting, and she's like. She's like, hey, can you just give us a few minutes? I was like, oh, okay, you're going to say no? Here we go. Great, that's not... Literally packing my shit up. She's like, do you mind, helping out the team down here? I was like, sure, I'll swing a knife for a little bit. Like, what else am I doing, you know? And so I'm doing that, whatever, and she comes back down 20 minutes later. She's like, hey, can you stay helping out? Like, we're still, da-da-da. And we have the other people had been doing tastings, and I'm like, fuck, man, just tell me no right now. Don't waste. Like, I'll gladly still help, for a few hours, just as for free, because I love y'all, but... Just tell me no. Don't drag it out, right? Just nail me down in the coffin and bury me, whatever. And then she comes down. She's like, okay, come upstairs. I'm like, okay. So we go upstairs, and, we're in the dining room now. And she's like, maybe we should go in the back. And I'm like, oh, you don't want to see me, cry or something, right in front of her. But I get it,
I think I'm weak.
Yeah, literally. Great. In the back. Here we go. And, she's about to shoot me in the back of the head or something, lassie me or something. I'm like, great. And so we get to the back, and I'm standing at this table, and she goes, I think you should have a seat. I'm like, oh my God, you're really killing me right now. Like, you're just really watching me squirm. Yeah. So we sit down, and she's got a poker face on. And she looks at me, and I'm looking at her, and like, I swear a bead of sweat came down my, from my forehead, and I'm just like, ugh.
It's like glistening?
Literally glistening. Yeah. And mind you, it's summertime, too. And I'm like, freaking out. And she goes, she looks at me, and then this big grin comes on her face. She's like, welcome back to the family. Shakes my hand, and I'm like, oh my God, I got the job, like whatever. And it was like that moment, if you've ever seen Pursuit of Happiness, when he gets the job at the end, that was me. Like, I had nothing. I had like no income anymore, it was whatever. I was unemployed. I left my job, and I had just moved in with my girlfriend at the time, this new girl I was dating, like all this stuff. And, New York life was just not still new to me, as well. Like, I'd been there only a year at this point, and I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like trying to hold back tears and hold down, joy. And she's like, okay, we'll make you offer a contract in the next week or so, whatever, da-da-da. I'm like, cool, great. And I'm trying to get out of there so I can just bawl my eyes out, And as I'm about to leave, who stops me from behind? Chef John. And he's like, hey. And he just shakes my hand. He's like, welcome back. And I'm like, thank you, chef, whatever. Try not to just break down in front of this dude, And I'm just trying to get out of there, And as soon as the doors closed behind me, it was like that moment just happened. It's like I just started like, oh my God.
Down
like,
and you're like,
what the fuck? Yeah. Exactly. And calling my mom, right? I'll never forget that phone call. I call her, and I'm like, hey, and she picked up, like, it didn't even ring, and she had picked up, Like, she had been waiting by the phone all day for my phone call, and she was like, so? And I'm like, I got the job. And she just freaks out. Yeah. Like, she's like, yeah. I was like, oh my God, congratulations, whatever, going nuts. And I'm like, yeah, I got it, whatever. And long story short is I ended up working for him, right? And I was like bouncing around in his restaurants. That's how I met my sous chef, Jamie. Yeah. She was sous chef at Nick's, and then we met at a holiday party before. So had I not worked for him, I would never have met her. And she's an integral part. She's my right, my left, and my front and back hands at all times, and also just a very good friend of mine and my partner in crime. And that's how, that led me to her, which I'm so thankful for, right? And we ended up getting this hotel open, which was super gnarly and nuts and whatever. And I, just crazy hours I was working, like the most gnarliest schedule, 6-7 days a week, 20-hour days sometimes, like just balls to the wall.
Sleeping 2 hours.
Literally sleeping
Same
2 hours.
Okay.
Not embarrassed to admit it. That's how it was. That's what we've been there, right?
That's the life.
And I realized that wasn't good, right? Yeah. And that was a big turning point in my career. And I was like, I don't need or want to ever do that again. Even when I have my own restaurant one day, I don't ever want to work like that again. Yeah. And it left me like traumatized from the industry, and I had put in my notice and I left, and I was like, I need to like take a break, right? For the first time in my whole life, I need to just turn my brain off, right? Yeah. And stop for a bit. And I did that, and I staged at a few places here and there just to keep kind of sharp, but I was collecting some severance checks from the company, still, and I was like kind of living off that, and I had my little studio in Bed-Stuy, my little fucking shoebox apartment, and I was just there, and I was here, and I just kind of was like, I was really sad, I was like, damn, man, like I gave myself a lot to that, to this, it was very lonely. It was a very like low point in my life, but it also gave me a lot of reflection, and I kind of got, my head on straight finally and, like, snapped out of it after, like, a month or so. Yeah. And I saw this ad for this restaurant called Oxalis in Crown Heights. And it seemed really interesting. And the chef there, I looked him up. And he worked at some killer restaurants, Restaurant Danielle and Mirazur, which got Best Restaurant a couple years ago. Yeah. And he was also, like, a young dude, too, in his, like, 30s, like, early 30s and whatever. And I looked up the place online, and the food looked really interesting and super cool, and the plating was beautiful, like stuff I'd never seen before, and like the combinations of the menu like blew my mind. And it was a tasting menu that was like, at that time I think like $95 or something like that. And I was like, well, it's a lot of food, like a lot of courses for this price point. Yeah. And I'm like, it's also like in Crown Heights, which is like a pretty rich like neighborhood, it's very expensive to live there, and I'm like, I wonder what this guy's trying to do, like I want to stage. Yeah. And so sure enough, I like set up my stage, and my first day there, my stage, who comes? Department of Health. Right? They had just opened not too prior, to me getting there, and fucking Department of Health shows up. And we're like we're prepping. New
York is harsh.
And New York is harsh. Yeah. New York is super harsh DOH, and rightfully so. You know what I mean? Yeah. Of course, I don't go to a place that has a B or a C or God forbid a D. They're not even open if they are. The A rating is something you take pride in, as if you would a review or anything else, like cleanliness, right? And so anyway, they come and we stop prepping, and I'm like,
Everything cryovac, throw it in the garbage.
Literally everything. Put labels on everything. Hats on, gloves on, whatever. You know.
Veins,
yeah, no veins.
Towels off your person.
Exactly. You understand.
Fucking,
Biohazard suit on, like whatever. Like we are clean, and and I'm just like okay, and it ended up being like a pre-inspection kind of thing, like whatever. It wasn't like a legit thing, and we also weren't in service. So that whole night, I'm like working on kind of like all stations, bouncing around. And he wanted to hire me for the entremet station. So I had like all the sauce work, all the hot vegetables, all the sides, and a lot of the a la carte stuff, and a lot of the taste menu stuff. Basically, that station was like a meat grinder, as he explained it during my interview. He's like, you have the most experience you're coming from being a sous chef for a 2 Michelin star chef. Like you did some openings in your belt, whatever. And one of my CDCs in the company when I worked for John, my buddy James knew Nico, helped him when he was a pop-up and when he existed as that, and they were very good friends. And James put in a good word for me, and he's like, James says a lot about you, like I expect a lot from you. And so I did my stage, whatever, and I met my very good friend Vaughn, who's back in the kitchen with us here at Hera tonight.
Yeah, just met him.
And I was like, cool, let's do it. Like, I'll take the job. And he like gave me a little taste of the food after my stage, and I accepted. And I started working there, and I fell in love. It was a small little team. It was a super affordable tasting menu. It was very, very fine dining. I was learning an insane amount, like so many things in one service I'd be learning. And I was also getting my ass kicked, right? Like, just rocking.
Yeah.
And I was so overwhelmed all the time. I was never prepped on time for service. It was like, be 6:30 and I'm still peeling celery or something.
Like, all right,
whatever.
I'm set up. It's 8.
Yeah, I'm set up, guys. It's 8. Like we did our first turn, and now I'm set up. And it just was ridiculous. And it was just absolutely gnarly. But I was in love, right?
Yeah.
And I also had a pretty good work-life balance. Like we were always closed Mondays. Sunday night after service, we'd close an hour early. We'd all deep clean. Like Nico was on top of the French top, cleaning the hoods with us. You don't see that, the chef like engaging like that with you guys, and especially not cleaning, and whatever. And most chefs I had worked for had been like in the office or something, or never swung a knife anymore, or whatever. And that's their thing. But to me, it's like chef should always be in the kitchen, right? Like that's why you're a chef.
Yeah.
That's why you're a cook. Like you're cooking, and he was there just grinding with us, whatever. And after service, we'd drink any open wine, and it was very fun. And we'd go out after. We were all off on Monday, so like great, we can drink whatever we want and be hungover tomorrow because we're all off. And I had another day off guaranteed always. Like it was nice. I was getting paid pretty well. Like this is good. I'm getting my ass kicked, yeah. And there's always going to be something that could be better, but this is pretty good. And so I was working it for a while, just performing what I would think pretty well, and then I got a random calling just from literally nowhere to move out to California and to San Francisco. And I just kind of was like, I kind of want to go there. I've never been to the West Coast. I had never lived there. I had no friends there, no money to do this. And I was reaching kind of like a part of New York where I was like, you know what, I've been here for almost 3 years now. I'm kind of like want to take a little sabbatical away somewhere, and San Francisco seemed to be that place. And Nico was from there, and I had a conversation with him. I was like, hey, I want to go out here. He's like, listen, dude, you need something, if I can help you, whatever, and let me know. And my last night, I worked service, and we had trained new guys, and actually Lewis here, I met him there as well. And we had, the last service, whatever, I worked pastry. The pastry chef, she had called out that night, she was sick or whatever. I worked pastry, and I had no idea really what I was doing, and all her recipes were in code. I'll never forget this. All her recipes were in code. Like sugar was like a triangle or something, and like
oh my God,
whatever. And so it was absolutely bonkers.
Needed a legend?
Yeah, literally needed a legend for this fucking recipe book. Which hey, she doesn't want people taking her recipes, whatever. That's on her, and I get it. Protect your stuff, but I was like, I remember Nico and I building like something with chocolate or whatever, and it broke to pieces on us, and we were like looking at each other, and I'm like, dude, I don't know.
Yeah.
If you don't know, then we're fucked,
we don't know.
And he's like, we're not going to do the chocolate tonight, like whatever. And I was like, cool, fine with me.
Yeah.
And so we're pastry that night, whatever was my last service. And at the end, the other managing partners and then Nico, they like opened some champagne and poured us all champagne. And Nico gave me a hug, which I was like, I got a hug from the chef. Okay, I'm doing something right. It never happens. And he wished me well, and he's like, good luck on the West Coast. And so I went to the West Coast not too long after that, moved out there, and I was there for a little bit, did some private dinners and stuff, staging here and there, and I liked it in a way because obviously over 50% of all produce in the United States comes from California, right? So the produce diversity, hello.
What up,
Thank
Dave?
you. What is
doing?
this? A little something to drink. Thank you, Dave.
Dave Dreyfus, Best Damn Cookies.
We love that. Well, it's a little, hey, cheers, buddy.
Yeah.
Salud, santé.
Ooh, yeah, baby.
Ooh. That was good. Thank you, Dave.
I love that, man.
Yeah, that was very kind.
Yeah.
Had one of his cookies earlier today. It was delicious.
I ate 3 chocolate chip.
The chocolate
cookies
chip,
this
right?
Morning,
Yeah.
man.
You understand.
My thing is to fold them in half